Gary, that picture of you as a bodybuilder was really impressive. Tell us a bit what got you into bodybuilding and what was going on in your life at that time.
Well, things were okay at that time. I'd put on a little bit of weight, and my wife questioned whether I'd need a bra or whatever. So I started working out a little bit, and I met a guy at the gym, and he put me through a training session, and I started to show improvement, and he said go in for a competition. So I trained and trained, because if I'm going to do something, I'll go into it 100%, and yeah, I built myself up to a good size, and entered local competition. Well, it was a southeast competition where I lived up in Medway, encompassed the whole area, and I went in that and won the southeast championship. So I was really pleased at that. But I was also at that time as well. I mean, I was doing a lot of door work. My mate asked me to work for him for an odd night, and it ended up for years. So I thoroughly enjoyed it because, yeah, people looked at you sometimes, being that size and that build, and think, I don't want to mess with him too much.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had other things behind me as well,
So what else was going on in your life at that time then? What sort of things were going on? What sort of work were you doing apart from the door work?
Oh, well, the door work was my main thing. As I say, I was married to Rita. I was very much a racist. I mean, that was a big thing with me. And car rage, road rage was a big issue. And the bodybuilding and the martial arts that I was doing and everything else just, sort of give me the extra kick and power that I needed to sort of run my life.
Yeah. Do you get into scrapes at all with people?
Oh, all the time, mate. Every week, especially on the door work, you go in there and you've had a bad day, and someone always come along, and they've had a few drinks and they think they're King Kong. So they start a bit of trouble, and yeah, I was always coming home with blood all over me and having to write a little note for Rita saying it's not my blood.
Right. Okay. So this sort of person you were and the sort of life you led, can you trace it back to your childhood? Because I think you had an unusual upbringing, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, my mum and dad, I mean, they started, they was always knocking us about. My dad was quite quick with the back of his hand or his fist. And if he had a bad day, he'd come home and take it out on us. My mum she shouldn't have had kids. She used to push us out onto the street. So we basically brought ourselves up in that respect. And quite quickly, because we never had money, we didn't have food, we used to pinch it. And we got quite good at it, we could get what we wanted. So we started a life of crime. We was fighting even at, a young age.
Yeah, who's we?
Me and my brother.
Yeah.
We used to always go about together, and do stuff. And even being 2 years older as well, I always looked up to him, but he looked after me. But we'd go out, get into scrapes, and we'd do okay, we sort of battle it together. And yeah, we come through life, a few visits to the police station here and there, So that became a regular habit, actually.
Yeah. So just you and your brother, is that all there were in the family?
No, we had an older brother, Jimmy, which he was several years older than both of us, so we never had much to do with him. He had a different circle of friends. And then we had my sister, who was my mum and dad's favourite, because they always wanted a little girl. And so they didn't want the boys in between, The first one was okay and the little girl was fine, but me and David in the middle, we was like rebuffed, thrown in the street. So yeah,
Must have felt quite unloved.
No one loved us. As far as we was concerned, there was just me and him. we had no one to turn to, no one to talk to. We couldn't trust anyone. So basically, it was me and my brother against the world. No one to turn to. And that was our thing, you know, and
Yeah.
it still comes out today even.
Yeah. You say you began to pinch things, so that led on to bigger things.
Led on to bigger things, yeah. It got worse and worse. The crime increased, the jobs got bigger, and quite quickly we were sort of getting into more trouble than we really wanted. Quite often we ended up in handcuffs, chucked in the back of a police van, you know, and we was in a cell up in
How old were
front
you
of
then?
it. Oh, it started from the age of, I suppose the first trouble, I suppose, was 10.
Right. Wow.
And it went on from there, you know. So, yeah,
You
I
saw a
mean,
police cell when you were when you were a 10-year-old.
yeah. Well, I mean, at that age, you have to call your mum or dad in, you know, to come down and collect you and this, that, and the other, you know. But yeah, it started off at that age, and it just got worse and worse because we had no one there. I mean, even my mum and dad, they never really rebuked us for it. If we, you know, whatever punishment we got, they just say it's your own fault.
Yeah.
Uh,
And you got
so
caught every time, did you? Or most of
sorry.
the time? You get caught a lot of the time?
No, we got away with a lot. I
Yeah.
must admit, I can't go into details because
No.
obviously they'll come back on me. But yeah, we got away with more than what we ever got caught for,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was quite prosperous, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. But you got put away eventually, didn't you?
Yeah, we ended up. Yeah, I ended up in 5 different places. You
Wow.
know, in the country,
Yeah.
mainly in the southeast area, like, but London, Oxford, yeah, Medway. I've been, yeah, five different institutions. One was they sent me to a psychiatric unit, if you like. It was like a little mini prison.
Yeah.
You couldn't go out or do anything, and you had screws in charge. But I used to have to go and see the psychiatrist, and I was trying to work out how my brain was ticking, not why I did what I did,
Yeah.
and the best place to put me, you know, for my benefit as well as the public.
Yeah.
So
So how did being inside, did that change you at all? Did it help you? Did you come out as sort of more hardened than you
you
went in?
learn stuff in there that you perhaps wouldn't have learnt outside. You know, people in there for different crimes and different reasons, and they tell you what they've done and how they've done it, and you gives you ideas. But after, you know, a certain amount of time, you start thinking about you're losing your, you know, your freedom. Um, so a lot of the stuff we didn't take up after that. You know, we sort of started towing the line, or was being, I say towing the line, we was being a bit more careful,
Yeah.
bit more shrewd, you know. So, but I learnt a trade in there. You know, I was doing courses while I was in, so it wasn't all bad, you know. But you know, it was different then in them days. When you went in, it was a hard place to be.
Yeah.
Not like now. It's all mamby-pamby and human rights and all that. We didn't have no rights when I was in.
Yeah.
You know, they'd knock you about or whatever. You know, you get a group of screws come in and punch you or kick you or whatever if you've, you know, done something wrong. So yeah, they can't do that now, or shouldn't be doing that now. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned also when you were younger, you had racist attitudes. Why was that?
Yeah.
Parents taught you, or just something you learnt yourself?
Well, I mean, we growing up, it was when basically Indians were starting to move into the country, and they was, I don't know, we just didn't want them there. They didn't fit in, and I think everyone had that racist attitude, but mine built up more. Uh, Even my brother and I know a lot of my friends, you know, and we sort of hated them, and we'd shout abuse, we'd, you know, oh, we'd do everything to them. And it wasn't just the Indians, it was everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, yeah, it got worse and worse as time went on.
Yeah. Mm. And you got married quite a young age as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I was 18 when I got married.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Why was that? What made you
Because
get married so young?
well, she got pregnant.
Okay.
I wasn't actually going out with her at the time when I found out, but once she told me, I just agreed to marry her because obviously she's having my baby. So that's what we did. She was 16 at the time,
Yeah.
so yeah, we got married, and then in October that same year, she had the baby. We had a little girl, Sarah, and we found out from the hospital quite early on that she had cystic fibrosis. So we had to give her physio every day, several times a day, feed her a certain digestive enzyme, to activate the food inside of her. Um, so yeah, we sort of struggled with her condition for a little while because we didn't understand it.
Yeah.
We was learning as it went on. Life expectancy for a child with cystic fibrosis at the time was 21.
21
But they
years.
said, yeah,
Yeah.
21 years. And they said that by that time, they might have progressed even more, that the child could live longer. So, but Sarah quite quickly started suffering. She couldn't breathe properly. She was having a nebulizer. We was having to take her in trips into hospital. She kept getting infections. And by the time she was about 4, she started getting quite bad. And right up until she was about 4 years, 10 months, she went into hospital and they had to stick a pipe down her throat to help her breathe, give her lung washes. And they called us one evening and said that she was really bad. So I went into hospital and she was really doped up. I cuddled her for hours and hours in that night and talked to her. And I said to the hospital, I'm going to go home. I'll collect my wife and I'll come back, and they said, yeah, that's fine. So I went home, and then not long after, I got my neighbour come round because we didn't have a phone then. And they said, there's a phone call for you. So I went round there and I was told that Sarah had passed away. So at 4 years, 10 months, I'd lost my daughter.
Mm.
And at that time, I knew there wasn't a God that could let that happen. There wasn't a God that could take a child's life that young and make her suffer the way she did. And if there was a God, he wasn't for me anyway.
You were angry.
Oh, I was really cheesed off. I just lost my little daughter.
Yeah.
Little baby like that. And you think, if there was a God, why would he let that happen? Why would he do that,
Yeah.
How could he sit up there and look down and see all these little children dying like that?
Yeah.
It was a hard thing to go through, Lee, and you blame everyone, and I knew from that point, I was basically, it was me. I had to look after me and mine,
Yeah.
and that's the way it went.
Yeah. And that didn't change for years and years, I guess.
Oh no, definitely not. No. I mean no. Right up until I was 61,
Right.
I had the same attitude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was me on my own, and I didn't trust anyone. I didn't let anyone close to me. I've got very limited friends because those friends that I do have are absolutely 100% good friends. I know they don't want me for anything that I can do for them, and I don't. It's just because we really get on and that. So
Yeah.
I've been very careful with people.
Yeah. And then 61, you'd married Rita by this time, and
Yeah,
you went down to Exmouth down here, and
yeah,
a couple of guys knocked on your door.
yeah,
Mark and I think it's Mark and Steve,
yeah.
and I don't know what, I wasn't there at that time. I came, I think, the second time. But what did they say to you, and what was your reaction to meeting them?
Well, they wanted to know if I wanted to hear about the gospel and about God and I just said to him, mate, I said I'm really not interested. I said I've read a part of the Bible. I said, no, that God isn't for me. He's just for the Jews. because I'd read part of the New Old Testament, and God was just looking after the one people that he loved, and sweeping everyone else. So I thought to myself, he's not for me. He never has been. He's never been with me all my life, and this just proves it. So
Okay.
I didn't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. So they went away,
Yeah,
and then you thought nothing more about it.
yeah,
And then I guess a few months later, one of them came back, and I was with them, and we
yeah,
talked to again.
yeah.
And so, had anything changed at all?
No, I mean, I was still trying to get rid of you, really. I mean, I hadn't really had my eyes opened. I hadn't really sort of looked into anything. And I think it was Steve give me a Gideon's Bible, the little red New
Yeah.
Testament. And I think I'd picked it up and had a look at a verse and put it down again, So when he came, he said, "Oh, have you?" I said, "Yeah, I've had a glance, like, but not really. I didn't understand what it was all about.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wasn't really interested, like.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I came around the third time, and I remember because I'd heard from the other two that you'd said you'd read a bit of the Bible, and
Yeah,
actually, even for someone today to read part of the Bible is quite unusual if you're no connection with Christians or with church.
yeah.
And so we invited you, or I invited you to a Christianity Explored.
Mm.
Given what you said to me just now about the fact that you weren't interested at all, why did you come to that?
Because I wanted to get rid of you. I thought that if I come to the Christianity Explored, I could say to you, I've given it a look, I've had a try, and it's not for me, so don't keep bothering me. Don't keep banging on my door every
Yeah,
couple of months. I mean, it felt like every week, to be honest, but I know it was a
it
couple of
wasn't that.
months.
It wasn't that often. Yeah,
Yeah, but I just thought that would be a way of letting you know that I've had a look and I'm not
yeah.
interested.
And your wife thought the same. Rita thought the same, did she?
Yeah, she wasn't interested. She said to me, "Oh, you got to get rid of them somehow.
Mm.
You've been standing there talking to them. It's up to you to get rid of them." So I said, "I'll go and do the Christianity thing, and then I'll tell them I'm not, don't want to know."
Yeah. Okay. So you did this, and what happened then?
Well, I quite enjoyed it.
Why did you enjoy? What was there to enjoy? Because you thought before something you wouldn't enjoy at all. So now,
No, because it made me think about, because this guy was talking about the planet, the Earth, and how, everything in it. And, you go away and you start to think about how everything is put together and everything works in unison. And you start to think about the chance of it being an accident and the chance of someone creating it. So it makes you wonder, I suppose. It made me wonder whether there was something that I'd missed.
yeah,
So I thought I'd, come to the second one and have
yeah,
a look.
yeah.
So
And then the third as well. But I remember at one stage you said to me that, and others there at the course as well, weren't they? That well, if there is a God and there's a heaven, there's no way I'm going to be there.
there's no, yeah, I mean, I can remember that so vividly. I honestly believed that with my life the way it had been and what I'd done in my life, that there was no chance that any God would accept me as
Yeah.
part of it.
And that must have been pretty depressing, wasn't it? I mean, you come to this thing, you're interested, but you must have thought, "Wow, I'm interested, but it's depressing, isn't it?" Because the
Yeah,
thing is, it's
yeah,
there, but
it
it
was
could be there, but it's not for
interesting.
me.
Yeah, even my brother, we both said, if there is a heaven and hell, we're going to hell. We knew that. God couldn't accept us the way we've been. We just said we've done too much.
Mm.
It's not going to happen. He's not going to accept us in his arms, and up in his heavenly abode.
Yeah. Well, that's a big thing to have, if you got that conviction, and now, of course, it's changed. So, what was it that caused that enormous change? What triggered you to think something completely different from that?
I watched one of the Christianity Explored, and it was talking about Christ being resurrected from the dead, his crucifixion and being resurrected. And I remember you asking me, "Do you believe that God could raise Christ from at it. And I said, well, yeah, if he's got, of course he can. He can do anything he wants. And I started to understand a little bit about the message that I was receiving from all these different Christianity Explored courses that I was doing. And plus I was going home and I was reading whatever I learned and whatever you told me. I was getting on the computer and I was researching everything that you'd said and things that I read in the Bible, and I couldn't find anything false about it.
Right.
I mean, I've got a stack of papers all printed out there in folders about different this and that, and everything keeps leading me back to the Bible as being the truth.
Yeah.
I couldn't find anything to fault it.
Right. Okay. So you began to believe what
Yeah.
you were seeing in these videos.
Yeah.
And then what happened to your life? Because what's the next step?
Do you know what, Lee? I couldn't explain it at the time. And I didn't even notice. But my wife said, you've changed. And I said, why? In what way? She said, when we go out in the car, she said, you're not screaming at people. You're not winding your window down and bibbing your own and getting angry. She said, you just changed. Okay. And then I started to think about it, and I thought, well, I'm not. And I've been angry all my life. I really have been angry, Lee. You wouldn't understand, really. But everything in my life is, I've been cautious about the world and people in it. And all of a sudden, I felt calm. I felt relaxed, and I hadn't set out to do any of this. I hadn't made it my new life or thought, I'm going to be good from now on. I'm not going to. It just happened without me realizing I was changing. And I changed so much that it made my wife think about what was happening to me. And she started looking about what could be there for her.
Yeah.
Because at first she said to me, I'm not interested either. She said, so don't try and push it on me. So I said, I wouldn't do that, Now she's read the Bible, she's, 1.5 times through the Bible. She's read a couple of other books. She loves going around the church. She loves the home groups. She can't get enough of it. Yeah. And it's changed her life and mine. It's turned it all around. I didn't have to give up anything. That's the thing, Lee. I didn't have to say, oh, I've got to give this up or I've got to give that up. I've got to change and I've got to do this. I didn't have to do a thing, because when I became a Christian, when I actually believed in my heart, it happened to me without me realizing. I didn't have to do a thing.
Yeah.
It's.
You remember you brought that picture of you as a bodybuilder, which put on the website. You brought that along to one of the meetings. We didn't ask you. I didn't know it existed, and you showed it to us. Do you remember? Yeah. And I was stunned by it because it was so different from how you look now.
Exactly.
Excuse me saying. It was about 80 years, wasn't it, before, wasn't it? But it was quite a revelation to see that. But tell us why it was you brought us to that meeting.
Well, because I wanted you to, when I come across it in the drawer, and it suddenly dawned on me that, like you say, the way I look now, I mean, all the muscles are sort of gone now, because I've not kept it up. So from what I look like now to that bodybuilding picture is the same as the way I was, with the anger, the aggression, the crime and sin and everything that I had, to where I am now. It was such a change from good to bad as it was from this body to the body I had. Yeah. It just showed me the difference, the immense difference in the two things.
Yeah, yeah. And then you came to church for the first time. Must have been the first time, well, not quite in your life, because I think you were baptized as a baby, but first time for probably, I don't know, 50 years or more.
Number of years. Yeah.
Well, that must have been a bit of a sort of, I mean, coming over into a church building for you must have been like a new experience.
Yeah, I mean, that was another milestone, really, because I didn't know whether the people in it would accept me because of the way I am and, them being holy and Christian, there was no way they was going to accept me, but in the church, perhaps. So I thought I'll go round and I'll just try it. And do you know what? Every single person welcomed me like I was a member of the family that had been out shopping and come back, and they was delighted to see me.
Yeah.
I just felt welcome, and it made me feel part of something again. So the church visits continued, and the more that I do that, the more I learn, and my eyes have been opened even more through the sermons and talking to people. You get a better understanding of what the message is in the Bible for everyone.
Yeah.
And I come to realize it doesn't matter what I've done in the past. It doesn't matter how many sins I've done, how many you've done, because now I'm on a level pecking with you. I mean, you might have been a goody-goody all your life, and not done anything, but it didn't matter now.
I wasn't, of course, don't you?
Maybe not.
I think I
but
told you
you've
one or two
been
things that you would know that's not true, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I just think for anyone out there that thinks like I did, that it's not for you. There's no hope, or, I can't be bothered, or I can't make do on Sunday going to church. I've got things to do. Do you know I can't miss it now? I was a busy man. I didn't have time for church and giving up this and giving up that. But now, no, it's part of my life, and I can't leave that behind now.
Yeah. And I guess if you'd been told 5 years ago, or three years ago even, that you'd be going to church regularly and going to home groups and prayer meetings, you'd have just said, no, there's no way.
I'd have laughed in your face.
Because it was completely different from what, nothing you'd want to do there, was it?
No.
When you first came to the door, you weren't interested in what we had to say either. So I guess what you do now, would you say you enjoy it more than what you did before?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love my life now. I'm calmer, I'm happier. Even Rita, she used to get so stressed and wound up, and I've had her in tears with my anger and the way I've been with people. And she said to me, he can hear you, and I said, I don't care. And it really didn't bother me, and it was affecting her.
Yeah.
So it's good for us as a family, as a husband and wife. It's made us stronger and better. So
and your picture of God, you said you were, when you were young, and you had when Sarah died particularly, but even after that, you were angry with the world, but also angry with God, and you didn't perhaps you weren't an atheist particularly, but if there was a God, you had no time for him.
Yeah.
How do you feel about God now, and how do you feel? How has that changed in your life? How do you see Sarah now and God?
I know where Sarah is now. I know where she will be, and I know that in days to come, whatever day it is that I'm gonna go, that I'll see her again. I'll be with her. And God didn't say that He wouldn't put suffering into the world. He knew there was suffering. He let His Son suffer, because that was the only way to redeem it. We've all got sin in us somewhere. We've all done something, and right or wrong. And I mean, it's like me now. I've got arthritis, and I've got a bad knee. These things are nothing compared to what I should be paying for what I've done. But God has said, if you believe in me and believe in my Son, then there will be everlasting life. So I know where Sarah will be. I know God will take care of her. I don't know as well what sort of life Sarah would have had. Maybe it'd have been a lot worse than what it was. So, God's got a plan. I know that, and a thing for everyone. He knows everything that goes on.
Yeah.
So I put my trust in God and in the message that He sends out. Yeah. Because God is reaching down, and I didn't realise that. He's been with me, and He's got me through all my troubles, all the things that I thought I was being clever at and got through. I know God got me through that, and He's brought me to where I am today. And as all I can say is that I trust God 100%. for my life and whatever's in the future for me.
Yeah, that's great to hear, Currie. There may be people listening to you who have been through some things that you've been through. Maybe they've lost someone really close to them, maybe a child, or maybe a brother or sister or a parent. Maybe people who've been on the wrong side of the law, people who have been in trouble in all sorts of different ways in their life. Um, uh, and maybe they're looking for something themselves. What's the first step they should take? You know, they say, look, I want my life to change, but where do I start?
I would say you need to go in, sort of go to a local church somewhere and speak to someone. Go and find out about what's available to you. You know, if you've got a query and you just want that query answered, go and find out about it. You know, don't just sit there and do nothing about it, because that's what I was doing. You know, if you hadn't knocked on my door, I hadn't taken any notice, I'd still be in the same way as I was before.
Mm.
You know, you've got to go. And I found that reading the Bible on your own doesn't give you the insight of what the message is actually saying. If you've got a group of people around you, like the fellowship of a church, you can ask your questions. You can work out what's being said in the Bible. And I think it's greatly, you know, the more you hear and the more you understand, you just want to keep hold of God's hand and walk with him wherever.
Yeah. Mm. So you were 61 when this all happened.
Yeah.
I've known people who've been older than that, but not many. But there's always a chance. People don't give up, no matter how old.
I would recommend it to anyone.
Some people think they're too old and it's too late.
Yeah.
It's never too late.
No, I would say, you know, I was 61. I've had a bad life. I've got a lot to hate the world for and all the people in it. And at one point, as I say, I hated God. He wasn't there for me. He wasn't doing nothing for me. But do you know what? Now I understand, and I've heard everything, and I've read the Bible numerous times. I've not just read passages. I've read through the Bible 7, 8 times now, maybe more. And parts of the New Testament I've read a lot more than that. I've read loads of other books, Lee, and I've found nothing to deter my faith. It's absolutely steadfast, and I would recommend anyone with a troubled past, research, have a look, go and find out, talk to someone.
Yeah.
You know, it's important. This is not this life, which is like a whisper. I mean, when I think back to when I was 10 or 11, starting senior school, and now I'm 63, and that time has passed in a moment. I'm not going to get another that amount of years ahead of me. So you got to think about, what if there is something after this? Shouldn't I look into it? Shouldn't I give it a chance?
Yeah.
You've got to, because you're talking about eternity. You know, and if there is an eternity up in heaven, I'd rather be there. And I think I've made the right choice. 100%.
Yeah. Thanks, Currie. And you're been a great encouragement to us. We've only known you a couple of years. It seems like it's been almost a lifetime for us as well, because it's been.
I can imagine.
Not in a bad way, but in a really great way, because when we see how God has moved in your life and how Christ has changed you, and we sing mainly the new Gary. We didn't see a lot of the old Gary, but we can.
You wouldn't want to.
It's been such a great blessing to us. So thank you for what you've shared.
Yeah.
And may God continue to bless you and enrich you. And all those, it's a lovely verse in the Bible when I think it's the Old Testament, when it talks about the years the locusts have eaten, God will repay. Yeah. And there's nothing so bad that God can't turn it to good. Yeah. I think your life is testimony to that. Thank you.
Yeah. Come to understand that, mate.